And there you go. Hey, everyone, I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS, and you are watching Open. Welcome to Open BXRX. Coming up on today's show, we'll hear from a wealth building coach of an organization that is committed to helping others build generational wealth. Then we'll check in with a friend of the show who will reflect on the impact that 9/11 has had on his organization. After that, we'll be joined by a Cortlandt Park Alliance Deputy Director who will highlight their upcoming events. Then kaboom, Bobby C steps into the room with the latest in the world of sports. And then finally, we'll sit down with a CEO of an organization. They're going to write this grant, a founder of a grant that's going to help uplift the creative voices of Black artists. All of this and more is coming your way because we are wide open, and here we go. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Dr. Bob Lee. You're watching Open. It's that live interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. You can stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Now, leading things off, our first guest is a wealth building coach for Journey to Wealth. For Journey to Wealth. And she's here to provide insight on her own journey into wealth building and to promote the journey and the wealth of others. She has a wonderful boot camp. You don't want to miss this. Check it out. Alicia Holmes is in the house. Alicia, welcome.
Welcome, Bob.
How are you?
I'm great.
Now, what's all this cash about, all this wealth building thing going on?
You know, I
right
am
down
from, yes, I am from humble beginnings, grew up in Brooklyn and Bed-Stuy. And I happened to have someone take me under their wing when I was like 19 years old and completely and totally shift the paradigm for me. I remember I'm at an alumni event on campus and he asked, do you want to be rich or be wealthy? And I said, what's the difference? And I was told, if you're rich, you'll have money, but if you're wealthy, you'll have time. And that set me off on a trajectory.
Yeah.
And I was able to become financially independent very early in life because of the information shared. And now I get to run boot camps for women where I give them a roadmap and I teach them how to have financial independence and not have to exchange their time for income.
Well, you know, we have a lot of crew here. We got the BronxNet crew here. You know, we know who to reach out for if we want to borrow some money. Listen, well, you don't do that, right? You don't lend right now. You're a mentor to so many women and wealth building. But who was your mentor? You said that person came up to you when you were 16 years old?
19. I was actually a college student.
Yeah. And what did you think at first? Did you think it was real? This person, here's another person trying to rap to me, trying to get next to me. What did you think at first?
You know, you always think that at first. I was actually at a party, but the question was so provocative in many ways. So I don't know. We may have been joking some students about being, and this was an alumni, Black and Latino student alumni organization had put this event on. And he said, so do you want to be rich or do you want to be wealthy? And I didn't know the answer to that. And so I was like, what's the difference? And his answer actually got me so curious. And that's one of the things I promote to the ladies that work with me. Get curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your journey. You said you are financially independent?
Yes. So based on the information I received, one is you can't hit a target, you can't measure. So then when I was introduced to the concept of being wealthy and not rich and the focus on my net worth, like first paycheck out of college, I'm like, I'm going to be purchasing assets. I'm going to be masterful at managing my money and living below my means and directing my resources towards purchasing assets, which is what
Yeah.
I did. Start going to auctions like 2 years out of college, buying property, investing in the market. And then later on, I call it my special sauce is that I was always very interested in technology. And so I started investing in innovation
Yeah.
very early. And so what I have the women who work with me, we do all of the basics, net worth, debt elimination, investing fundamentals, but we really focus on innovation, technology, and
Yeah.
being a part of that game because that's where you accelerate wealth building.
Yeah. Do you start out with debt elimination? Like if you have high interest rates on credit cards and things that you need to pay down on, do you get rid of that first? Then you just start looking at real estate and some other things, the technology that you mentioned that you can get involved in, and then the stock market, right? How did that work
Yes.
for you? Give us some
It's
tips. Let us know.
it's all worked out very well for me. But one of the things I was introduced to, and I want to just say this, like was very young, 21, was index funds.
Uh,
It's low hanging fruit. It performs with the market. It's very low fees, and I say this because literally in the years I've probably worked with over 1,000 women, and many of them are in their retirement accounts. If they had just been in index funds, they would have hundreds of thousands of dollars more in their retirement accounts. And so something as simple as showing women like you're a lot of times we're in very safe funds and a lot of times we're in funds that are have too high of fees. So just teaching the fundamentals,
yeah.
fees, return on investment, and benchmarking, like has resulted in women 7xing their
Yeah.
portfolios.
And
Mhm.
that's a big phrase, the return on investment. Everybody wants to know about their return on
Mhm.
investment.
Yes. And understanding it. Compound interest, how money grows. You need very little. All you need to do is be consistent and where to put it. And like really how to understand return on investment in a way that you're in the wealth building game, that your
Yeah.
net worth is growing.
Now, how important is that compounding? A lot of people don't understand that, but explain it just a little bit. Compounding.
Okay. Yeah. So Einstein said it was the seventh wonder of the world. And so the beauty of compounding is exponential and accelerated growth. And what happens is, I usually go through this with a chart. I have like a chart where I step you through it, have people do the math so you can see how quickly your money can double over time at certain rates of return, and how it's just understanding how money grows. Like
Yeah.
most people don't understand, how does it grow? How do you get it to a point where it can work for you
Right.
and you don't have to
Right.
exchange your time? And compounding is one of those fundamental things that I really teach people in a way they can understand it.
Way different from having your money just sit in a bank account somewhere, right?
Absolutely. And not growing, not working for you at all.
Yeah. I mean, that helps. That's yours, and you know it's there. You know it's not volatile. But you know nobody's going to come in and take anything away unless you do that. You're the only one who can take it away out of a bank account. What's the best advice that you might give someone looking to invest and to build generational wealth?
Um, well, there's so much I could say. The best advice. Well, one of the things that was life changing, and I often say, like, if you remember nothing else, is to pay attention to your net worth. We're so used to paying attention to our income or even our revenue if we had a business.
Yeah.
But when you start tracking and watching your net worth, and your net worth is your assets, the things you own minus the things you owe, that's your bottom line. Notice that income and revenue is not in there. It's assets
Yeah.
minus liabilities. If you start to track and pay attention to that, it will change your behavior in ways that is hard to even express to you. But what you will find yourself doing is actually building wealth because we all know our income can go up and up and up and up. That does not mean we're building wealth.
Right.
And yeah, so doing that one thing alone, the practice of it, life changing.
Oh, we're hanging out with you. Where can we go for more? Did you lay this out on your website or somewhere where we can see it?
Well, I have, if you go to my Instagram, it's Journey to Wealth
Hmm.
underscore Women in Action. There's a flow code there in my bio. And if you go there, my boot camp, my wealth building boot camp for women, you can sign up there. You can also sign up to get on the Journey to Wealth mailing list. I have a free session coming up for women on Wednesday about the fact that we are in the fifth industrial revolution.
Wow.
Uh, 46% of jobs that African Americans currently hold will be disrupted by technology and not be available as soon as 2030 is some of the information that's out here. And again, I'm
Wow.
into innovation and technology, and all of the statistics is having us understand that we're in the fifth industrial revolution,
Hmm.
that we don't want to enter at the 11th hour. We want to be prepared.
Yeah. So,
Future of jobs, money, all of
so
it.
all of that is on your website,
Yeah, so it's on, if you go to my flow code, it's on my Instagram.
Instagram.
You'll have a link where you can sign up for my mailing list, and if you
Okay.
do, you'll get information about the free webinar on Wednesday.
Well, we appreciate you. Like we said, we're going to hang out with you and see how much money we can borrow from you.
No,
And then you
no.
can co-sign. That's a no-no. You can co-sign. But Alicia Holmes, thank you so much. Wealth building coach, Journey to Wealth. We appreciate you. And got to come back and share some more tips, okay?
I will. Thank
All right.
you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
We'll take a quick break. I've got more next.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
at Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at BronxNet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx,
To the world.
BronxNet.
And welcome back. Our next guest is the national spokesperson for Jehovah's Witnesses. And he's here with us today to speak about the impact 9/11 had on Jehovah's Witnesses and how they are helping others heal from that tragic event. Please welcome to the show Robert Hendriks III. Robert, welcome. Nice to see you again.
Thank you for having me back, Dr. Bob. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah. I mean, it's always good to go back and speak about that tragic day that took place over 21 years ago.
That's
If I
right,
got that
yeah.
right. I spoke to some children. I went to an elementary school. They were age 5 at the time. So they're up there now. They're adults. But
I
that
know,
was a
it's
tragic moment, and it's going to take a lot to continue to heal people. What are some of the things that the Jehovah's Witnesses have done in the past?
Well, as you know, it had affected all of us. I mean, I think all of us can remember where we were, what we were doing. I can remember driving while listening to the radio, watched it on television, then that whole day, just that beautiful day, very strange, crisp blue sky, that beautiful weather that day, just the oddness of the incongruity of the beauty of the day and the horrific events. And I know many of us feel that way. I mean, we all feel like that is a marker in time that changed us as a society, that changed us as a nation and as a city. And clearly, it is a moment in time that's not going to go away in our lifetimes,
Yeah.
Bob. It's always going to be in our hearts. And so Jehovah's Witnesses recognize that. And we're really following the same pattern that we followed on 9/11. And during the next several months, when we provided a comfort message all over the country, in fact, all over the world, really, we went from a message of knocking on doors with a magazine to just carrying our Bibles and providing a comfort to them. And this year, we restarted, this is our first time since COVID, we restarted our comfort work on 9/11. We had 3,000 volunteers around the city, some 42 locations. They were being manned from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And because we recognized that even today, people are talking about 9/11 as a time that affected them deeply, and so they need comfort. And so you can see the volunteers. They started at a local Kingdom Hall. They fanned out into the streets of New York City. They stayed there in their locations all day, and they talked to tens of thousands of people who came by to talk to them about this event. There were many people in the city for the memorial, as you know, as always happens. And so we were ready to talk to them about and give them comfort from the scriptures. Why do things like that happen? Why do bad things happen to good people? How can people be so evil and wicked? What is the reason for that? And is there a hope? And that's really what the message has been over the last 21 years, and what the message is even today.
How has it affected Jehovah's Witnesses? I mean, you were headquartered right across the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah.
I think you still see the tower there.
Yeah.
What was the effect of that?
It was a very weird, again, juxtaposition for our brothers and sisters who are working there, because the windows of many of their offices were looking right out at the downtown, at the towers as they came down. So we had many who witnessed it, the whole thing from start to finish. At a secure location, of course, we thought was secure until everybody came that way, and of course the plume came that way as well. But as an organization, I think it changed us dramatically. First of all, when the folks came over the Brooklyn Bridge, they needed a place to go. We actually housed many people who needed a place, some who were relocated from hotels that needed a place to stay. We comforted them and also gave them food. We gave them a place to stay. And then almost immediately, within a week of 9/11, we dispatched ministers from all over the tri-state area to have a constant presence at Ground Zero. And I was one of them. I went and volunteered. I was living on Long Island at the time. And I went out into New York City to right down to Ground Zero. It was my first time actually seeing it. I can just recall the acrid smell and the ash that was everywhere. Looking into a pharmacy that was right across the street, that even inside was full of ash and debris, and the eeriness of that, the need to engage people. It was not easy work. But we also followed that pattern for a number of months afterwards, especially looking at first responders, those who had lost loved ones. We had lost loved ones. One of my dear friends, who was a firefighter, Jimmy Amato, who I grew up with, died in that tragedy. And we had 13 other Jehovah's Witnesses die as well, but many who were affected in a profound way, especially because of our proximity as an organization, just a stone's throw from Ground Zero.
And Robert, there's still people today who are looking for comfort. How can they reach out to you for a peace of mind, comfort, prayer, the things that Jehovah's Witnesses do best?
Well, I think probably the best way is going to our website. Of course, our Kingdom Halls are open again, and our carts are in New York City. Yeah. They're in the Bronx. They're all over. going to one of Jehovah's Witnesses, talking about to them, we get that a lot. The question is, why does God allow wickedness? And that the answer to that question is in the Bible. You can talk to a Jehovah's Witness about it. You can go to a cart. You can go also to our website, jw.org. You could put in that very issue in the search field. You can contact a congregation through jw.org as well. 9/11, Dr. Bob, changed us as an organization. It's interesting because when that first happened, we needed to find out who was okay and who was missing. And as an organization, we charged every single congregation with finding every single congregant in the tri-state area. And so I can recall one of our brothers who serves here at the branch. He's on our branch committee. He said they called back to the headquarters and they said, "Hey, we found everybody but one." And they said, "Well, call us back when you find that one." And that was probably the first time that Jehovah's Witnesses had done that on a massive level. And so right now it's part of our practice. Whenever there is a disaster in an area, for example, Fiona right now is hitting Puerto Rico, and also Dominican Republic and perhaps Bermuda, we have already found out who's affected, who's been displaced, how many homes have been destroyed. We have located, and we are in the process of locating every single individual in the path of that storm. And that really started 21 years ago on 9/11 and 9/12. I can remember getting a call from the representative of Jehovah's Witnesses at my congregation, where I was the coordinator, and being told, "Okay, do you have everybody? Have you found everybody?" And working to locate everybody. Where were they? Communication was down. Finding them and making sure they were safe, or making sure to find out what was their status, what did they need. Now, to this day, we do that with every single disaster in the world. And it really shows, it's an extension, really, of the love of our Father and Creator, God, because that's exactly what he wants to do. Jesus said that not one of his sheep was missing at the end. And that's what we want. We want to make sure that not one of our congregants, not one of our sheep are missing, and they get the care that they need, especially when they're in the midst of this tragedy.
Yeah. What message can we send to help combat the resentment and negative emotions that are felt from those days, from those tragic moments?
Well, I think we can very well see over the last 2 decades that vengeance does not equal solace for anybody. In fact, when we think about the many who understandably were motivated to do something about this, what they wanted to do was act in some level of anger, and we get that. It affected us in a visceral way. But Romans chapter 12 says, "Do not avenge yourself, beloved, but yield place to the wrath." And that play, we're yielding to that anger, that natural righteous indignation that we see, and we know that God will take care of it. And that's what we have to think about, because so many of us have forgotten the fact that we have been praying for the kingdom of God to come for all of our lives. We've been taught by Jesus to do that. Well, what will that kingdom do? It's going to stop this wickedness. It's going to stop this evil. And it's the only thing that can do that. Nobody else can do that. We have seen that. The most powerful government on the planet cannot stop wickedness and evil. But God can. And he has promised to do so through his son, Jesus Christ, in the kingdom. And so that's the focus of our ministry, our message. And what we need to do is build faith in that. And we can do that through a study of the Bible.
Yeah. Do you still have somebody there, like volunteers at Ground Zero to this day?
We always have a presence there. Of course, COVID-19 was a change for us, but we always have a presence there with our carts. And so we are manning that on a regular basis, not as widely as we manned it that particular day on the memorial, but we always have those down there who can provide comfort. This is a ministry of comfort. We need comfort every single day. And so being able to feel like, well, there's something, there is a hope. Yeah. That's powerful. And, when we lose hope, as many of us did during COVID-19 pandemic, That's when things get very bleak for us individually and as a city and as an organization. And that's why hope, rekindling that hope by reassuring our love for our Creator and our hope in what He has put forth, His purpose. That's something that we have to do every single day.
Robert J. Hendriks III, National Spokesman, Jehovah's Witnesses. Thank you so much, Robert. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. Really appreciate it. Thanks for allowing me to talk about this.
You got it. We'll take a break. I've got more coming up next on Open.
TV news, radio reports, and newspaper headlines in the 1970s and 80s misrepresented communities in the borough of the Bronx. Then, something transformative happened. By, for, and about the Bronx, BronxNet was born.
BronxNet provides media education,
Opening the doors to competitive careers in the media industry
for thousands of students in middle school,
high school.
and college.
BronxNet.
And welcome back. Our next guest is the Deputy Director for the Van Cortlandt Park Alliance, and she's here to highlight the organization's upcoming Hike-tober Fest 2022. It's a wonderful event, and you don't want to miss it. I may hike in it myself. So please welcome to the show, Christina Taylor. Christina, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So you guys have been doing this for some time now, right? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, this is one of our annual fundraisers that really is actually a lot of fun. It's my favorite event to do in the park. So Hike-tober Fest is a hike in the park followed by an Oktoberfest. So we have local beer, we have German food, we have cupcakes from Lloyd's Carrot Cake, and we have an Oompa band and yard games, and it's a lot of fun.
Sounds like a great fundraiser with a lot of fun. There's the fun and fundraiser. There you go.
We put it there.
Listen, Christina, tell us about the recent Friend and Family Fun Day event. You had that already?
Yes.
Was this is something leading up to what's going to happen next?
Well, we like to do a lot of fun activities in the park and bring the community together. And the Woodlawn Family Fun Day was special because Indian Field in the park had been under construction for many, many years, and the community missed having access to that. So it was open this summer. So we said, hey, let's celebrate. So we got together with our friends at the Women of Woodlawn and a few other organizations, and we put together this really great family fun day. The DOT was out there giving out bike helmets. We did one of our barefoot dancing sessions. We had arts and crafts and hikes. Bronx Bound Books was out there giving out free books. So we had over 600 people come out for that day, which was, very nice to see. The community was very appreciative, which makes us happy.
I like it. So what do we need for this hike? Do I need to bring some boots? I got some boots over on the side. I can put it on now and start practicing for it now.
Well, depending on which hike you want to go on, you might want to practice. So you buy your tickets in advance. Yeah. And when you buy your tickets, you can choose which hike you want to go on. So you can do a long hike where we're out in the park for 5 to 6 miles, or you can do one of our medium hikes where we take our time and stop and do some, look at some of the scenery. And then we have short educational hikes. We work with Loving the Bronx, who does one about history of the Bronx. And then we do an environmental walk also. So you choose your hike, and then the Oktoberfest, we provide everything. So you buy your ticket in advance, and then just come out and celebrate with us.
When you say you provide everything, does that include the beer and the food?
Oh yeah. So we're currently working on securing donations for beer. So if anyone watching has some beer they want to donate, let us know. And then we work with Lorelei, which is a German restaurant in Lower Manhattan. They provide all the food. We get our cupcakes donated from Lloyd's Carrot Cake, which we're very thankful for. And then we have an Oompa band that's coming to entertain us all.
Do we have to prepare for anything like concerns about COVID or any other diseases that are out there?
And we're asking people to definitely, if you don't feel well or if you do have COVID, please stay home. If you need a refund because of that, reach out to us. But it's an all outdoor event, so we feel it's a very safe thing to do. If people want to wear masks, of course, they're more than welcome to do so.
And what should attendees expect? Of course, they should come prepared with some of the things that they need for the hike, but what should they expect? What has happened in the past?
To have a really good time. They should expect that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of fun, not only for the people participating, but it's our staff's, greatest event to do. We really do enjoy it. So like I said, you'll show up. There's the hikes start at different times, so you just need to know what time your hike starts. You come to the park, you meet us in front of the Van Cortlandt House Museum, and we take you out. The hikes are all guided, so we take you out on a hike, and then we get you back to the museum grounds in time for the Hike-tober Fest portion of the event to start.
Yeah. What did you like about it when you first did it?
It's definitely something different, right? Because it's pairing a couple of my favorite things, beer and hiking. So that was a really fun opportunity to do that. So yeah, I mean, we've been doing this event, I think, for 7 or 8 years now, and each year it gets bigger. And for us, it's a lot of fun because we get to see a lot of new faces. So it's a way to introduce new people to the park and make new fans for Van Cortlandt Park.
So we know about two of them. We got the Friend and Family Fun Day event. You got the hike in the park. What are some of the other events that you guys do during the year?
So we have a lot of volunteer events. So we have several Saturdays where people can come out and volunteer, and we're very thankful to our volunteers. So Van Cortlandt Park is over 1,000 acres, and the staff is very small. So we work with over 2,000 volunteers a year to do a lot of work in the park. So we're very appreciative for what they do. So during the fall is a great time to come and volunteer as the weather starts to get a little cooler. We remove what are non-native invasive plants from the park, and we plant native species. So if you want to get your hands dirty and do some planting, you can definitely volunteer with us this fall.
I'm ready. Christina, where can we go for more information?
You can visit vancortlandt.org, and right on the front page, there's a link to the Hike-tober Fest, and there's also a link to our calendar of events, so you can learn about all of our upcoming events.
There you go. Thank you, Christina. Christina Taylor, Deputy Director, Van Cortlandt Park Alliance. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll take a break right here, but from one Bobby Lee to Bobby C's. Coming up next, he has the latest in the world of sports.
Good morning, sports fans. Fordham football has been the early season darling of the Bronx, starting 3-0 for the first time since 2013. The man under center at Rose Hill has been extremely key for the Rams. Tim DeMorat threw a career-high 464 yards and 5 touchdowns to lead Fordham to a 48-45 come-from-behind win over Albany on homecoming weekend. What a thrilling day for the Rams. We go inside the locker room for more.
It's a good thing that, we scored 48 points and I feel like we had a pretty bad game offensively, at least for the first 2.5 quarters. If you look at the penalties and drive killers that we had, that hurt us. And then me, I thought I didn't play a good first half, like Coach said. I think I had a couple errant throws, wasn't playing my game. And I think once it got settled and the whole offense got settled, we played good when it mattered in the second half.
All right. And in those final moments, what gives you strength? What are you looking to personally to push yourself through that?
I think it was trusting coaches, trusting my offensive line, trusting my receivers and backs. Offensive line played great. I'm proud of them towards late in the game. Receivers came up big, obviously, and Trey got that go-ahead touchdown run was huge. So it's just trusting my guys, trusting the coaches.
Our BronxNet cameras have had a knack for capturing prolific quarterbacks over the years. In this week's Turn Back the Clock segment, we've got Kyler and Tua going head-to-head for the Heisman in 2018. Murray is one of the stars in the NFL these days. You can see the same for Tua, too, with the former leading the way on an OT win for Arizona against the Raiders, and the latter registering 6 touchdowns and over 455 yards in his dub for the Miami Dolphins. We turn back the clock.
Time Kyler Murray did not throw for 200 yards in a game was earlier this season in September against Army. The rest of the year, you could make a case for him being the best quarterback on the best offense in the country. And tonight, he's your 2018 Heisman winner. Murray, the two-sport star who also plays baseball, was drafted by the Oakland Athletics this past June, has been named the country's top college football player in what could be his final season playing the sport. This means back-to-back Heisman winners for Oklahoma after last year with Baker Mayfield. Murray, who threw for over 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns for Oklahoma this season, won the Heisman on Saturday night in Times Square, beating out fellow quarterbacks Tua Tagovailoa of Alabama and Dwayne Haskins of Ohio State.
This is something I've dreamed of my whole life. I felt like a lot of hard work has been put into this, but at the same time, I'm not here if it's not for God, my teammates, my coaches, my family. So it hasn't sunk in yet, but this is crazy.
Oklahoma coach Lincoln Riley has gotten used to coming to New York this time of year.
This is certainly a team award, and it's very appropriate as he named his offensive lineman, went through the other players, all the other staff members, everybody that was involved to help it come to this. That's who it's about tonight. Back-to-back quarterbacks, I don't think that's ever happened. So no doubt, but it's tonight's about Kyler.
The season has been special with my teammates. It's been everything I dreamed of, and to represent them up here is special.
Powerful performances by these signal callers and lots of power for the dramatic conclusion to the IndyCar season in every sense of the word. In fact, IndyCar's intense season came to a nail-biting end in Monterey, California on September 11th. Will Power beat Team Penske teammate Joseph Newgarden by 16 points for the Australian to win his second IndyCar title and the 16th national championship for Roger Penske. He finished third at Laguna Seca Raceway, a spot behind Newgarden. We check in with the ever-consistent Will Power.
Mentally drained. Couldn't show the sort of emotion that I showed when I won the 500. But it's been like a long journey over the year, so I think it's pretty fitting that we just did another solid day, just a sort of long game day like today. That's just been the story of our year.
We'll stick with racing for another highlight of the month of September, and that comes to us by way of NASCAR. Bubba Wallace wins at Kansas Speedway. Wallace was fast all day at Kansas and beat his owner, actually, Denny Hamlin, to the checkered flag in the Kansas Lottery 400. In doing so, Wallace became the 18th different winner this season, making it the most different winners in NASCAR Cup Series history at this point. The win is Wallace's second NASCAR Cup Series victory and first this season. Cool highlight before we get deeper into the playoffs. We caught up with Bubba. Check this out.
Anytime you can get to victory lane in the Cup Series, it's a moment that you don't want to let go. Fortunately, we got to shift our mind focus to Bristol now. But we'll celebrate tonight. But to win it in this fashion, yeah, it's definitely really cool. So, we're talked about when we go to the speedways, and kind of not so much the rest of the tracks. So I want to start changing that. And we've been able to show up these last 2 months or so, all different types of racetracks, and be talked about. And that's cool. So it's a step in the right direction. We just can't get complacent. We just got to keep going. Got to keep pushing for more. And this is great, but we have to continue to go back out and battle. So I appreciate the opportunity that I'm in right now with the team that I have, and keep going.
Congrats to Bubba. We shift gears to the hardwood for a wrap-up to the WNBA season. The finals coming to an end in Connecticut nearly a year ago. The Las Vegas Aces suffered a season-ending loss that burned with them throughout the winter months. It fueled them this season. The Aces beat the Connecticut Sun 78-71 in Game 4 and won the WNBA Finals 3-1, giving the city of Las Vegas its first major professional sports championship. Aces guard Chelsea Gray was named Finals MVP. For our diehards out there, you might recall their origins as a franchise. The Aces franchise started as the Utah Stars in 1997 when the WNBA made its debut as a league. The team moved to San Antonio in 2003 and appeared in the WNBA Finals in 2008, getting swept, unfortunately. Former New York Liberty star Becky Hammon was a player for San Antonio then. She is head coach for Las Vegas now as the Aces. The franchise appeared in the 2020 WNBA Finals and was swept again. But under Hammon, the finals this time around changed. A new narrative. The 45-year-old is the first person in WNBA history to win a title in her first season as a head coach, aside, of course, from the first year of the league. Here's an elated Becky Hammon on the championship.
Super proud of the group. It was a battle. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. It's never easy to close a game in a regular season, let alone in a championship game on somebody else's home court. So just really happy for the girls overall. They stayed focused. This has been the goal, since training camp. And luckily I got a group of really resilient players. And I said it out there, but probably the biggest thing I'm proud of is just how they've come together over the course of the past 5-6 months to really become a team. And you saw different people step up at different moments tonight, and that's what makes us difficult to beat.
So happy for Becky, not so happy for the Battle of the Bronx. Thankfully, my sadness will come after just 1 year of having to sit out without the Battle of the Bronx. Despite not squaring off this season, the Fordham and men's Manhattan basketball teams will resume their rivalry in the 23-24 season. The two schools were unable to find a suitable date that worked for both institutions on the upcoming schedule this winter, but will meet in the Rose Hill Gym for the 23-24 game. In a joint statement, both directors of athletics, Ed Cull and Marianne Riley, stated that the institutions respect the tradition and history associated with the crosstown rivalry here in the Bronx. A long-term contract will be created and established for the first time and will ensure the tradition continues. The series will resume next season. On to some better local news. The first week of interscholastic fall sports in the city brought us a classic matchup from the high school ranks. Cardinal Hayes and St. Raymond in a championship rematch in boys soccer to kick things off. Hayes, the defending champs, beat Rays again, this time 9-0, backed by 4 goals from Jaquan Ellis. Cardinal Hayes in the hunt for back-to-back titles here in the Bronx. Ellis had 25 goals for Hayes last season. Look out for him in the future. And look out for the Iona Prep Gales football team. Again this season in local high school football. I realized last year was a special one, but this year could be just as good, maybe even better, especially after their result against a longtime rival. Yes, the Gales won their last 11 games last season, claimed a league and state title, but they still viewed last year's season opening loss at Don Bosco Prep as a big disappointment. Eager for a rematch, the Prep rallied from behind on the road and stunned the New Jersey State Power on a Johnny Shepherd's touchdown run with 68 seconds remaining. Final score in this one, 42-35. What a thriller. The Gales dropped last year's game against Bosco, Shepherd's first varsity start, by that same score, then swept through every New York opponent on the schedule, just like they had the previous spring. The rematch began with Bosco roaring to an early 21-7 advantage, but the Gales answered and had some second half in this one after cutting the deficit to 28-21 at halftime. Those are the headlines to the C-list for a shameless plug this morning. All right, folks, catch Pulitzer Prize-winning author Buzz Bissinger right here in the Sports Corner on Open. In case you missed it on TV, head on over to our YouTube page at BronxNet. So cool to chat with the legend, the man behind Friday Night Lights. We're talking about high school football this morning. His latest, The Mosquito Bowl, is a super read. When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, college football was at its height of its popularity as the nation geared up for war. One branch of the service dominated the aspirations of college football stars, the Marines. That's why on Christmas Eve 1944, the 4th and 29th Marine Regiments found themselves in the middle of the Pacific Ocean training for what would be the bloodiest battle of the war, the invasion of Okinawa. Their ranks included one of the greatest pools of football talent ever assembled, former All-Americans, captains from Wisconsin and Brown and Notre Dame, and nearly 20 men who were either drafted or would ultimately play in the National Football League. Thank you, Buzz, for a great read and a super conversation right here on BronxNet. That's your look at sports. I'm Bobby C. More Open back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Our last guest is an Emmy-nominated producer, storyteller, and creative with over 2 decades of scripted and unscripted development for production companies and labs. And she's a co-founder for the Ida B. Wells Fund, and she joins us today to speak about the impact that the fund can have on uplifting the voices and visions of Black creatives. Please welcome to the show, Angela Harmon. Angela.
Hello, great to be here. Nice to see you, Dr. Lee.
Remember that? You heard this from somewhere, some movie. Hey, Angela!
I would say that's Rocky.
Oh, okay, you win. You win $50 million in the trip around the world for fun. Angela, tell us about the great things that you're doing in our community.
Yeah, so I am the co-founder of Chromatic Black. And Chromatic Black is a collective of artist activists across creative disciplines. And really our mission is simple. You know, we want to disrupt the master narrative with good storytelling. And, you know, we are really interested in building these relationships between communities and artists and finding ways that we can solve problems by using the creative tools that we have at our fingertips. Yeah. And so we are great representations of the community. We listen to them all the time, and we create works that kind of represent their voices.
Yeah. Tell us more about Chromatic Black. Where did it come
Yeah,
from? What's it all about?
so Chromatic Black, again, is a collective of artist activists with a simple mission of disrupting the master narrative through good storytelling. We're narrative strategists, so what that means is we use, again, stories and arts and pictures and words to reimagine and to re-architect the world that we want to see.
Yeah.
We believe in transformative justice, and we feel like our artists across this country are the ones that are the real heroes and the ones that actually can say the things that we can't say through using their artistic tool.
Touch that a little bit. Transformative justice.
Yeah, so when we say transformative justice, we really mean like how do we change the world and to make it the place that we want it to be.
Yeah.
So as we all know, sometimes this world isn't as kind or fair to people of color. And so we are always looking for ways that we can amplify the voices of the marginalized, again, through using arts, through using the stories of our folks, and using, the wisdom and the vision of, again, these creatives that we call artists.
Yeah. Ida B. Wells, she was a women's suffrage leader in that movement, and also against slavery, anti-slavery. And you have something called the Ida B. Wells Fund. What's the vision for it, and what's it all about?
Yeah, so the vision for the Ida B. Wells Fund is really simple. We wanted to address some of the pain points of the film industry, meaning that folks didn't have an opportunity, that whether it be for the resources or the amplification or distribution of their stories. And we thought about who best could represent sort of amplifying our stories. And we thought of Ida B. Wells. She certainly was the person that brought so many issues to light, but certainly the anti-lynching campaign, which then led to the NAACP and so many other great things. And so through this fund, the Ida B. Wells Fund, our mission is really simple. We are committed to artists, to artists that are interested in taking risk and being experimental. And we want to highlight their voices. So we allow 5 people to win $15,000 to make a short film that speaks to disrupting the master narrative.
5 people can win.
5 people can win $15,000.
Oh, I thought
to
you
make
said
a short film.
$50,000.
$15,000. We're not that big yet, but we'll be back next year. Maybe we'll be at 50,000. But right now we're at $15,000. And again, what we love about the fund is, it's not often that filmmakers get an opportunity to have sort of, I'm going to say almost no, an opportunity to experiment and to play and to explore ideas, sort of without the ties and the burdens that sometimes come along with some of the more traditional routes of film funding. And so, $15,000 is in our world a lot of money. But we know in filmmaking sometimes that's
It gets absorbed
just enough,
quickly.
enough to get a good idea. And so we're really looking for filmmakers that can take that and make miracles and tell a really good story.
Yeah. So you said you're not that big yet. You are, because you're an Emmy-nominated producer. That means you've gotten your feet wet and people looking at you in a certain way.
Yeah. So, I wanted to always give a shout out to the Bronx. I'm a native Bronxite, 3rd generation. And I grew up in this borough at the time where hip hop was being born and being birthed. It was also, so it was also a time, of economic strife, and the borough was really struggling, and
the Bronx was burning.
And what I think I learned in terms of my creative voice is just, how do we, again, kind of use the struggles in the streets? How do we kind of use the struggles that we see around us, and really kind of, how do we tell those stories and amplify that in the most beautiful, creative ways that we can?
Yeah.
And so I've been on this journey of storytelling since I was about 5 years old. Yeah, I was telling stories to my family and putting on shows. And so it was a natural sort of, fit when I got to college. I started off at Penn State, but graduated from the City University of New York.
There you go.
And yeah, and so, got the opportunity to take advantage of all that the city had to offer. So from Spike Lee, I worked for him for a bit, and Jonathan Demme, and really sort of found my way in this beautiful space of independent storytelling.
I was at Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing.
Oh, you were? That's right. You were. I remember that. Oh my God, he was such an inspiration for me because I went to Brooklyn Technical High School.
Yeah.
So it was right across the street from him, and got to see the making of some of his films, like Do the Right Thing. But
Tell us, what are some of the requirements for applying for the grant for the Black filmmakers?
Yeah. So again, we're looking for dope storytellers. I mean, that's the number one thing. But really, what you need to be is just over 21 years old. You need to be a working artist with at least 2 years of professional experience. And you need to be a citizen or a permanent resident, or a O1 visa holder. And other than that, there isn't anything else but having a really, really strong voice and creative vision, and be ready to roll those sleeves up and tell a good story. Yes, exactly.
What's
Roll
the
'em up.
deadline? What's the deadline?
So the deadline is October 28th for the Film Fund. October 28th is the deadline, and the winners will be announced on November 21st. And you can find us at idabwellsfund.com. Again, that's idabwells.com, idabwellsfund.com, where, again, you'll find all of our requirements, which we kind of just talked about. And again, you'll get a little sense of some of the winners that we had from last year.
Yeah.
We're really proud of those winners as well.
And 15 grand in your hand for the man or woman.
15 grand in the hand for those winners. And really, we are always trying to find ways to amplify artists. And so there's sometimes surprises, there's a $15,000 big prize, but for interesting and dope filmmakers, we find other ways to support them. So the fund is the fund, but Chromatic Black is bigger than just this fund. And
she's from the Bronx, and she came from the hip hop era. She said we're looking for the dope writers and filmmakers.
Yes. I think most of our viewers will understand the word dope, which means amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Angela Harmon, thank you so much, co-founder Ida B. Wells Fund. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bob Lee. Thank you.
Glad to have you on. That's about it. Oh no, time to go. It's funny how time flies when people are having fun. Want to thank you for letting us share in this space and time with you. Thank you. We can't thank you enough. We have an attitude of gratitude. I want to thank our hosts, Kibin Aline and Darren Jaime and Rena Valentine and the whole crew up in the room up in there with the Wizard of Oz room. Don't listen to the man behind the curtain. But we appreciate you and we thank you for all that you guys do. Our BronxNet crew. We'll see you next time. Always remember this: what you are is God's gift to you. What you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice. Let the choice control the chooser. And I'll see you over 107.5 WVLS. Catch you another day, another way. I love you all.